Maria Butina has been sentenced to 18 months in prison in the United States after she pleaded guilty to conspiring to act as an unregistered foreign agent. She's already served 9 months in jail. The 30-year-old was found guilty of trying to influence the National Rifle Association and conservative groups in the US. Several US politicians were suspected to be involved in the case too. Moscow's called her detention unacceptable.
Maria Butina was sentenced just because she's a Russian citizen. She's a victim of confrontation between various US political forces and an active anti-Russian McCarthyist-style campaign. This is a shame for the US judicial system, which carried out political orders.
Our correspondent Caleb Mopin reports from New York.
Those who were in the courtroom heard Maria Butina give quite an emotional speech prior to her sentence being handed down. She talked about how she came to the United States not as an agent or an operative, but with purely good intentions, and what a nightmare her family has been through. This is some of what Maria Butina said to the court.
My parents discovered my arrest on the morning news they watched in their rural house in a Siberian village. I love them dearly, but I harmed them morally and financially. They are suffering from all of that. I destroyed my own life as well. I came to the United States not under any orders, but with hope, and now nothing remains but penitence.
Now, the prosecutors in the D.C. courtroom argued that somehow Maria Butina's activities with the National Rifle Association had somehow harmed the political process of the United States significantly. They argued that by being an unregistered lobbyist and working on behalf of the Russian government inside the National Rifle Association, that she was in severe violation of U.S. law and had somehow harmed the U.S. political system and done a great deal of damage. Now, the judge did then hand down a sentence of 18 months in federal prison. Now, 9 months of that will be time served. That will be the time that she's been held since she was initially arrested. So only 9 months remaining in federal prison. And then after that time, she will be deported from the United States back to Russia. Now, what's interesting is that Maria Butina was swept up in the aftermath of the 2016 U.S. presidential elections, in which talk of Russian agents and Russian meddling and Russian subversion seemed to be quite widespread. There was quite an atmosphere of fear. And in that atmosphere, she was swept up. And it appears that now, after months of being detained, after quite a bit of time in which it was reported that she was held in solitary confinement in rather harsh conditions, that she now has 9 more months to serve in U.S. federal custody before she will be allowed to return home to her family. So people are seeing this as kind of a conclusion to the case, as at this point her lawyers are saying they will not appeal this verdict.
Our correspondent in New York there. We spoke to Maria Butina's lawyer about the case, and the president, he believes it may set.
I think it's impossible to separate from the politics. I think that there is an underlying crime that she pled guilty to, which you can make out under U.S. law. But I think the notion that this would have been investigated or an arrest would have been made for a typical foreign national who wasn't Russian and wasn't in the current environment we're in the U.S., I think that it's almost impossible to believe that. So I think politics has a lot to do with the atmosphere of the case. And it's one of those things where if the elements of the crime are there, they were selectively enforced in this instance. I think it's hard to argue. The charge is unregistered agent. It's not foreign. It's not secret agent. It's not intelligence agent. Literally, it's just doing something for someone else as being their agent. None of Maria's activities in the U.S. were illegal in and of themselves. So there's no classified information. There's no politically sensitive kind of information given. She was not paid by the Russian Federation. She was supported by Americans while she was here financially, but she got caught up in this anti-Russia hysteria. I would fear that other countries will start applying the same standards and saying that any American who went abroad to another country and was involved in civil society organizations and social and met people and networked, because that's really all we're talking about doing. We're not talking about anything more serious than that, and reported back on those activities to someone in the U.S. So I think it's very dangerous, because I think if other countries adopted the same attitude, you're going to get a tit-for-tat situation with countries grabbing civilians of other countries as leverage or for other reasons. And I think it's a bad idea.